Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters and friends, welcome back to this very important show, I think, which is Charity, the Muslim Mindset. This is a topic today. My two wonderful guests are Jahanzeb Rahman and Omar Khan from Deen Riders, and also Jahanzeb is an IT project manager. Omar Khan is unfortunately forced to come back to the place where he works because he's a school teacher at Al Khair School. So we've been talking about how the Muslim Ummah doesn't seem to be getting, involved enough in helping the local charities. So we want to find out a little bit, ask the question, why is that happening? What can we do to encourage more? But at the same time, there is a balance. We need to make sure that balance isn't overstepped. So actually, straight in with you again, Jahanzeb, another question for you. Actually, no, let's go back. Let's go back. Where were we again? You were telling us about regarding the mindset and to change the mindset to get people more involved in the charities, I think.
I think we were talking about setting an intention initially, and then looking at how we can help in a material fashion. It's not just, like I said before previously, what tends to happen is brothers and sisters, we go, yeah, we're going to support this charity. We set up a standing order, job done. Alhamdulillah, now we can move on and feel good about ourselves. But there's plenty of ways to give, mashallah. The Deen Riders, for example, we are pretty much hands-on. Omar recently has done a hike, which went out to the funds for which went out and benefited the local community. So there are plenty of ways to give, mashallah. It is a case of ensuring that our intention is set and then working towards a plan, an executable plan which we can do.
Okay, actually, let's jump back to Omar. I want to ask you, back to relating to being a school teacher. If you do notice, for example, that a child is more charitable, do you think it's something the family has instilled in them, or could they have picked it up from school or from the people around them?
Difficult question, I suppose.
I'm glad he's giving those.
I can say. I know you see children who will give, who will make the effort, who wants to do it, and there's different motivations for it. But you can see the good in them. And there's others where you give a reminder, you give a hadith, and then suddenly everything just comes, money just comes in. So we had. For example, the last project that we have various projects at Al Khair Secondary School, and the Year 8 boys, which is my tutor group. We went for a hike to raise money for residents at an old people's home, all non-Muslims. Trying to teach them that we should be raising money and looking after Muslims and non-Muslims. They are our responsibility, and you say a few words, and they put their hands in their pockets, and as students who have very little money, they'll give, they'll make an effort, they'll give. So you can really you can change the mindset of a young person.
That was a particularly long hike as well.
Did you go on that one? Yeah.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
I was on that hike.
Listen, actually, brothers and sisters, you may have noticed now that the telephone number is on screen. So it would be nice for you to call in with something related to this particular topic, but it would also be quite nice to call in just to give these two a hard time. Especially if you know them especially, it'd be nice just to call in just to make their life very difficult. They're not sweating yet, they're not sweating enough, so please do call in, inshallah. But actually, very importantly, this topic that we're discussing, we do want to change the mindset, but to what extent do we want to change the mindset? Do we want to do it in a way that we have local charities, Muslim charities, suffering because now everyone's at home thinking, well, I'm just going to give to this one and instead? Do we want that?
No, not at all. I mean, I think the thing is that we are the middle nation, we're a balanced nation. It is important that we remember our brothers and sisters, and it is critical that we continue that, supporting them, mashallah. The lovely thing about us is that we are one body and we see ourselves as that, mashallah. I remember one time we were talking about giving to Syria, etc., etc., and we were approached by somebody else of a different denomination, a different faith. And he said to me, what does it matter to you what's happening in Palestine, in Syria? And the brothers looked at him like he was nuts. because we could not comprehend what this guy was talking about. However, he was looking at us like we were crazy. Because he was like, this is not your community. The fact is this, we are one community, we are one ummah, mashallah, and it's something which I think is a blessing, and it's something unique to the deen. But like you say, it is about maintaining a balance and ensuring we continue our support. We don't give that up.
So, actually, Jahandar, why do you think Muslims are reluctant to give to non-Muslim charities?
You know, as I said, it's a difficult scenario. We find ourselves in interesting times, mashallah, and challenging times. So it does become very easy to become polarized. It does become very easy to pick a side and decide, you know what, forget the rest of the guys. I'm just focusing on this, which, you know, it's not easy. I'm not going to say that, hey, you know what, it's easy to get the balance right. It isn't. I personally believe that we need to ensure that we continue to support the Muslims that need it, especially people in war-torn areas, Palestine, Syria, just to name a few areas. It is a hard act. It's not an easy thing to do. At the same time, we're here, you know, and I firmly believe that you should do what you can wherever you are. So if people are in need, you should help.
I do remember on many occasions people would complain and say that, for example, even, you know, I have a non-Muslim family as well, and let's say that a lot of these main, you know, large charities, the directors, you know, the trustees and whatever are pocketing some great amounts of money and not really giving a damn about the beneficiaries of that charity. Do you think that's one of the things that would make someone think twice?
I mean, I would probably go back even further than that. Alhamdulillah, you know, my parents, from when I was young, they always used to give, and it used to be the culture to give, whether it was their money or their time, they would give. And I think if we remember our own parents, they were a special generation, where if something happened, something went wrong, you know, they had your back.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, so it was a very tight-knit community, and maybe they saw that, hang on, you know, the local community are white, English, they're not us. So maybe it's a bit of reverse racism to say that these are not our people, and you know what? These guys got loads of money anyway, right? Let's give back to where I know it's going to count. You know, our people. So you know, it's reverse racism, effectively. I mean, that's the only way that I can explain it. Why would you not give to a white Middle English child suffering, you know, from various disabilities?
Maybe there's a bit of a detachment, because maybe, I don't know, but if we were walking down the street, for example, and we saw a young child who is not from a Muslim family, and you can see that she's in dire need, perhaps you would kind of give directly to that child. You wouldn't even think twice about it. But then if you were approached by a charity, maybe with a bucket collection, and saying, like, you know, that same child who you haven't seen her directly, but she needs your help, I think maybe that's where the reluctance is again, isn't it?
Possibly, yeah. Because I mean, with the culture from Islam is that you give, and you tend to give directly. Isn't it? And you've got this institution now called a charity, and that you don't know how much money they actually use into charity. So there may be that, you know, granted. But I think again, it comes down to giving. Prophet Muhammad didn't say analyse, you know, what's going on in that company and this, that, the other. You know, if you see a need and if you feel it, you know, I think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He puts something in your heart, some kind of softness in your heart. I think, you know, I really believe in this. You know, I think this is a good thing. You know, I really think I should give.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you may give £1, but that pound is going to save you from the hellfire, not the 80 pence. What it comes down to, 20 pence administration, the 80 pence is the reward. No, you get for the whole pound. Give.
And actually, that's a very good point, because we know that time and time again, whenever we are asking for donations, people always ask, you know, is it 100% donation policy? Is it all going to that charity?
Yes.
And obviously, it can't be helped. There are many Muslim charities who they survive off of that administration, that fee. And if we don't, you know, have it, then it means how are we going to get it there? Obviously, Alhamdulillah, Deen Riders is not a charity, so we don't need to take any money for ourselves.
And we don't.
And we don't, alhamdulillah. But as a charity itself, maybe they do need to do that. But one of the interesting things is because I know the mindset of our donors in our community, mashallah, they do want to know, and they, you know, it's a very good question. There are very good reasons why, because some of that admin fee might end up in the pub or in, you know, in the belly or something like this.
Well, you certainly see many instances, like you mentioned, where there's somebody who's doing very well, and you ask them, "What do you do?" "I'm a director of a charity."
Yeah.
"Oh, mashallah, wow, well, they're treating you well." "Yes, they are. 90% of it goes to me. That's great." And that's something which we as Muslims focus hard and work hard to avoid.
Big controversy, isn't it, a couple of years ago?
Maybe the other thing that possibly will is that you have certain institutions, charities set up to give dawah to Muslims, or their type of dawah to basically make them into non-Muslims. So we see that sometimes they have these...
Make Muslims into non-Muslims.
Yeah, yeah. So there's a few, they're basically missionary organisations. They go and they go and give food to Muslims and what have you. So people might be wary about that as well.
Very good point. Very good point. So which brings me back to again, when we were approached by this particular charity called World Children, and I'm thinking, okay, they said to me, oh, the person who set it up is, you know, John Caldwell, who is, you know, the founder of Phones for You,
Car Phone Warehouse, etc.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, oh, well, he's got money, what do you need a charity for? But obviously he can't, an individual, doesn't matter how wealthy he is, he can't say, okay, help every single child. But it's a very good thing what he did. But more importantly than that is the fact that the way that charity works is that he himself, he does his own fundraisers and he donates every year for the admin costs for that charity, which means that all of the work that we will do, and anybody else for that matter, is 100% donation policy. And you know, obviously it's a good model, which I know that there are some Muslim charities that do exactly the same thing. Every year they do a fundraiser, which is purely for the running cost of the charity. How can we get that model to work more so that people will actually feel more comfort to know that their donations are going to get to where they're going to go? Who wants that one?
Big question. That's a big question. You know, it takes a phenomenal. Anyone that runs a charity, I mean, you know that when we're fundraising, we're working very hard to get the job done to ensure the word gets out. So it is a difficult. You know, it's a big ask to be able to contribute and to change the structure of a charity. However, as Muslims, that is our structure, the structure that we have, and the focus that we have been given is that 100% of what we get, we are aiming to give. But you know, not very many charities, you know, have that principle to work from. So I mean, I don't know I don't think there's an easy answer to that one, actually, to be honest, Jamal. I think for Muslims, certainly it should be something which is the standard. But for the rest of the charities, I'm not sure how we can solve that problem.
Because there's a good point about what you mentioned earlier on. When someone gives that donation, then that particular donation may not save a life, but it's there to extinguish, you know, the hellfire for them. Their help, you know,
saves their soul.
To save their soul.
Yeah.
Right.
But then people, at the same time, I suppose they can't help really wanting to know that I did something. And I suppose it's a bit sad to, you know, for them if they think, okay, look, I've given £1, how much of it is going to go into the stomach of that child, or how much of it is going to go into the equipment that child needs? Yeah. And I guess these are the questions that now the charities in the UK and around the world will need to give some sort of reassurances.
I think it's Muslims are intelligent. You know, we're not silly people. You know, what we're not advocating is going out there and giving it to whoever and find that 95% of the funds that we're giving is funding someone's Ferrari. I mean, we do have to use some intelligence, which is, I suppose, where this questioning comes from, this line of questioning comes from. Plus, we have this principle, which is, you know, 100% should go out to the charity. So Muslims, I think, are just trying to make sure that they're doing the right thing, that their fards are covered, that the people who are, you know, collecting for a charity are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So I don't want anyone to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go out and start giving money to whoever without thinking about it, because that's not it. The fact is that we don't all have as much money as we want, or as much resources as we want to give to everybody. We have to be selective in how we allocate our resources. So it is about thinking intelligently. I don't think there's anything wrong with asking the question. I think for charities, you know, it's a big responsibility for us to step forward into the public arena and to help. And you know, those questions that we get asked in terms of, you know, how much are you giving? The standard questions, and I think that's something which we should be able to, which we should expect and give honest answers to.
Interesting. How many Muslims in our community do you think have the understanding or the attitude that as a Muslims we are supposed to be doing things in this community, not that we're stretching out our hands to get help, but we should be giving that help the same way that our pious predecessors did? How many Muslims are you seeing with that mentality? Because I think that's a very important question, which hopefully will give a message to the brothers and sisters at home.
Have you taken a survey?
That's a very good question. I may need to do that. And we'll start with number one, number two. Let's start with you, actually, on number one. How many Muslims?
Who gets involved with their community directly? Very few. There is a tendency, unfortunately, that we keep to our own. I think, if you really want to spread the deen, if you really love the Prophet Muhammad, if you really want to spread your deen, then, actions speak louder than words. You can say to someone, we're Muslims, we do good deeds, we believe in charity, we believe in this, that, the other, but, act in it. And remember, when we're talking about charity and giving charity, we're not just giving money. It's smiling, it's giving your time, giving your expertise, getting involved with the community. This is all charity, the financial side is only one aspect of it. And so, there's a lot of charities out there that will say, thanks for your money, but what we really need is help to give food out to the homeless. Right. We need someone here every Sunday, like they do for Night Watch, for example, Croydon Charity, every Sunday evening, they go to a certain place and they hand things out, etc., etc. So that, it takes the burden of other people doing that. We need to get involved in that, I think.
Maybe that sort of appeases the doubts that one might have in terms of where their money's going to go. Maybe they should just get out there and, you see someone that needs fixing with your hands, fix it with your hands. Maybe that's something that we should be thinking.
I remember speaking to a brother who went out to Syria, and he said to me before I went out there, he was doing a charity drive. He's one of our, mashallah, one of our own beautiful deen riders. And he mentioned that before he went out there, he had a certain understanding of what was going on. But when he got out there and saw it, he came back with a deep, visceral understanding of what's happening. And I think, as Umar pointed out, and as you just mentioned, getting involved with your time and your money and your effort, more your time and being there on the ground, boots on the ground, makes a massive difference.
SubhanAllah. So, kind of like rounding up a little bit, but staying on topic, is we're asking that question about, the Muslim Ummah getting involved in helping those in the community. And another reason why I mentioned it was not just because of our Great Ormond Street ride, which it wasn't amazing, it didn't produce amazing results, but a very good friend and colleague of mine, Hamza Zotzis, you may know him, mashallah, he's out there doing so much great work, may Allah reward him for that. I mean, he's actually doing a charity run at the moment. I think he's doing the half marathon or something like that.
Hamza's running?
Yeah, he's running, mashallah. He's been training quite hard for it.
Oh, he's been training,
and and he's actually raising money for Great Ormond Street. So he has, especially on Facebook, he has probably more than 50,000 followers on Facebook, and just around the world, many people have a keen eye on what he's doing. But I won't mention the amount, but when he told me how much he's raised so far, and he's been raising money for a little while, I suppose maybe I wasn't surprised, but I was thinking, subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, we need to do better than that.
MashaAllah.
Because people are watching us and they're saying like, okay, the Muslims, what are you doing? So yeah, it was a bit hard, it was a bit sad to know that it's only a small amount. And I think if you do go on his Facebook page and if you do, hear about what he's doing, then maybe you should, just give a little bit of a support to show him that, Hamza, we're on it with you. We know why you're doing it and we are involved. We know we're backing you up. And also just to remind everyone that next Saturday, which is the 21st of June, the Deen Riders will be doing a charity ride for Caldwell children. Now, again, everyone will be watching to see how this is going, because we were approached by this charity and said, give us some help. Okay, so we are going to be doing, who knows the facts or the details? Should I go do it myself, or should I go?
I think you're going to go with that one.
I want for us to honour any of you brothers. So, Friday the 20th will be at Ace Cafe, where the owner of Ace Cafe has kindly given us his place. And he said, you can come along and bring one of the families from Caldwell Children, one of the beneficiaries. So there's a young child, I believe his name is Nathan, and he's disabled. He will be coming along to Ace Cafe. He'll see all the bikes. He'll be given a meal and things like this. If you want to come along, brothers and sisters, you're more than welcome to. Now, that's going to be on the Friday. Now, Nathan is somebody who has actually already received some aid from Caldwell Children. So it's his way of saying thank you. The next morning, 10:30, Saturday the 21st, we'll be riding to Cornwall. On this ride, we've asked everyone who is a biker to join us. So we'll be leaving from 10:30 in the morning. It's going to be a tough ride. We will have Muslims, non-Muslims, and you name it, hopefully we'll turn up. Okay, so far there's a minimum of probably 30 people. We want to see hundreds of people on the road. Each person will be donating. Each person will also be trying to get sponsorship so that they will help to raise the maximum funds for this charity, not only helping the children, but also showing that the Muslims care and the Muslims are wanting to take control of these types of situations. So we will end up in Cornwall probably around maybe 3 or 3:30 or something like that, and where we will be meeting another family. Now, this is a family who are still raising money to get some specialist equipment for their child. This is something that we have the privilege, we have the honor to be involved in. And we will be physically on the bikes, brothers and sisters, but you, hopefully, will be with us, not in spirit, in money.
Inshallah.
Yeah? You will be with us and you'll be joining us on this ride, and you will take part, maybe sponsor a ride, sponsor Jahanzab's bike, where no money that you put, his money still from the petrol tank is going in from his pocket.
That's right, absolutely.
Yeah, we're not going to be taking any money to pay for fuel or for food or for accommodation. Omar as well, sponsor his ride, so the fuel is going to cost how much? Maybe about £100 in total, maybe less. You're going to pay that anyway, but maybe now brothers and sisters can pay that, which will go to the charity. Inshallah. And at the end of it, what we're going to have, inshallah, is peace of mind to know that we are all doing something. And Ramadan, brothers, is just around the corner.
Around the corner, mashallah.
Yeah, so brothers and sisters, please remember everything I've just mentioned. And before we do come to a close on the show, as I said, because Ramadan is coming, I'd like to ask you, brothers, let me see. Ramadan, give us a tip, give us some encouragement. It's going to be tough. It's going to be another, really hot, summery, first,
Mashallah.
So
Mashallah.
what do you say? What do you sort of give us a tip for Ramadan, inshallah?
I try and
mumbling all around, trying to get the words out.
Mashallah. I try and set, when I anticipate a difficult Ramadan, I try and set it up. I try and set up my Ramadan before it actually starts, so that I hit it running. So there's no point being in Ramadan thinking, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, because at that point you're either tired or you've just come back from work and you're probably not thinking very clearly. So I try and set up my Ramadan so that I'm doing actions prior to it starting. So in terms of salah, being at the masjid, all this kind of basic stuff, which everyone knows that they need to be doing. If you're doing that a week or two before Ramadan, you're kind of in the swing of things. So when Ramadan starts, you're still rolling. Rather than Ramadan starting, you're hit with the shock of, oh my goodness, no food, whatever, and then you're trying to get the momentum going. Better to start it up first, start it up early so you hit Ramadan running.
And finally, sir, what about you? What a good tip maybe for the children. Ramadan is coming and they're old enough now, they need to be fasting.
He lost his samosa.
For the children, I'll say generally Ramadan is not about food. We tend to focus on the food quite a lot.
I think I've been doing it wrong.
we need to try and focus obviously on ibadah.
Absolutely.
And for the children, it can be tough for them, but there are people around the world who are living through more difficult circumstances. So it's doable. It's doable. You just need to be strong, really.
It's true to get the children to focus on those in need around the world rather than focusing on their stomachs, and that would be really good, isn't it?
Good for parents to reward them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And those who are not obliged to fast, a lot of them want to fast. Yeah. So maybe half fast will be good. Parents can do that, and sort of have, from midday onwards they can fast, or 3 o'clock onwards.
What do you think about, let's do online fundraiser for Al Khair, seeing as you're like, you don't do the cane anymore. Like when I was in school, we used to get cane, like with the bamboo cane. That's a long time ago.
Yes.
But we've only got a few seconds left, right? But what do you think we should do a fundraiser for Al Khair on Iqra TV? That would be really good.
That would be fantastic. Yeah, there's a lot of things that I'd like to put into place at Al Khair.
Really?
Yeah.
We could have a
There's a lot
bike
of
fund, couldn't
things.
we? We could do
Yeah, I think we should.
a bike fund, definitely.
We should do something
Dean
like
Ryder
that.
bike fund.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? We've had schools approach us before, but I think Al Khair would be really, really good to do something, inshallah. Maybe get a couple of children along to complain about, you know, the hard work that you give them and all this kind of stuff.
It's worse listening to his jokes. That's what the pain really starts from.
Brothers and sisters, thank you so much for joining us today on this very, very, very crucial topic. Please keep it in your mind that the mindset of the Muslims when it comes to charity should not just be focused on what's happening in your own home, okay? Because an extension of your own home are the people around you that are in need, your neighbors. So please, brothers and sisters, keep this in mind, and let's come back on the next show with more efforts to help those for the sake of Allah. You've been amazing, and I'd like to thank my wonderful guests, Jahanzeb and Omar. See you all soon, inshallah. Brothers and sisters, I don't want to leave you. Please stay with me just for a little bit longer. Next week, make sure you call. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.